For those of you who don't know, the Spurs waived Joshua Primo a few days ago. He was their 12th pick in the 2021 draft. And just right now, there has been an accuser that's come forward. Her name is Dr. Hillary Cotton. So, what Primo basically has been accused of doing, from what I've heard, is this guy whipped out his dick to women randomly. He would just whip it out to them and show it to them. So, I guess he was trying to just get something sexual out of them. That's what you assume, since he's a guy, obviously. And when you do that, you're kind of implying that you want to have sex with another woman. Obviously, I find that very disgusting and disturbing. I don't care if he's only 19 years old. I think any normal person knows, even at that age, that was inappropriate to do. Hell, I knew that at that age. So, yeah, I think it's very disgusting what he did. And I'm assuming he did that to this woman here that's accusing him of doing it. So, from what I read, Hillary Cotton was the Spurs psychologist. So that's what it says in this article. So she was originally with the Spurs in a psychologist role. I think the question asked now is, did she make these allegations to the Spurs while working with them, that Primo did this to her, that he whipped out his magical instrument in front of her? Or did she just tell the Spurs and then decide to quit? I think that's important to know, because she had complained to the Spurs before and they didn't do anything to Primo. They just kind of gave him a slap on the wrist. Then the Spurs looked really bad as an organization. She could also have the ability to sue them for not doing anything for her. I guess she could sue them on the claims that they were endangering her safety and it was not a safe workplace. I'm not a legal expert, but I'm guessing that's what she would probably go for. Plus, and also the Spurs have a lot more money than Primo. So I wonder if she's gonna sue Primo, or if she's gonna go after both Primo and the Spurs. And if the Spurs were playing a role in covering this up of the past stuff that Primo has done, do they know of past allegations that he was accused of? Did they sweep it underneath the rug? And if they did, who in the organization was sweeping it under the rug? Was it R.C. Buford? Was it the GM? I think his name is Brian Wright. Was it even Popovich? I think that's a very interesting situation to know. It's very important to know. Just it's a huge impact on the organization. From what I see in this article, it says here, I'm just going to look at this excerpt just for a second or two. So it says here, former Spurs psychologist Dr. Hillary Cotton will actually be represented by Houston-based attorney Tony Busby, who earlier this year represented 24 women who filed civil suits against NFL quarterback Deshaun Watson, accusing him of sexual assault or harassment. So this guy is a big-time lawyer, obviously. Just he got a lot of money out of Deshaun Watson in that trial. So he's definitely going to be going for blood, I feel, in this situation. Let me just see if there's any other excerpts from this article. So it says right here that Dr. Cotton and Busby will in fact be holding a press conference during which they will discuss allegations made by Dr. Cotton and others against Primo. So this is implying that there are other women that are going to come forward against Primo. And I wonder if these women worked in the Spurs organization, or they're just women outside the Spurs organization in which he's harassed. I think that's very important to know. It actually says here, quote unquote, I'm going to just read the quote. At the conference, Tony Busby will discuss allegations made by Dr. Cotton and others against NBA player Josh Primo, the events that precipitated the release of Primo, the veracity of recent public statements made by both the Spurs organization and Primo, interactions with individuals within the San Antonio Spurs organization, and the expected path forward. Dr. Cotton will be present to make a public statement and answer pertinent questions. Okay, so that's going to be very interesting to find out how this goes down Thursday. I think there will be some revelations from this press conference. So that's what I'm looking forward to hearing. How do I feel about this as a Spurs fan? Well, I felt the Spurs look really bad if they knew Primo was doing these types of activities before. And they also look bad, obviously, if this woman had complained to them about him coming at her like that and they didn't do nothing to him. It looks really bad. How do I feel about Primo the player? I was never really impressed by him, to be honest. He was never that guy I wanted as a Spurs fan. When they drafted this kid, I wasn't amazed. I thought he was a scrub, to be honest. I wanted either Trey Murphy or Segun in that draft. I thought both of those guys are going to be better players, and they have if you look at their numbers. I'm just looking at Primo's numbers. Just last year, they were trash. He was averaging 5.8 points a game on like 37% overall shooting from the field. His 3-point percentage was also shittier at 30%. This year, his scoring increased slightly to 7 points, but his field goal percentage was still pretty crappy. Overall, 34 from the field, 25% from three. So offensively, he just wasn't having it for me. He was terrible. Granted, there were times when he looked like he could be a decent player. I think the ceiling, which was a crapshoot, probably 1 in 1 million chance of happening. I thought maybe if he worked hard, there could be a slight 1 in 1 million chance that he could become a James Harden player because he was never super athletic, but you would see flashes at times where he looked very crafty, kind of like a Harden, just with his ability to drive to the hole and make these crafty type of plays. I saw that in him. His playmaking did get better this year. He was averaging 4.5 assists a game. He was very good at running plays, running the pick and roll, setting people up. So I saw great improvement in that. He was a decent defender, but I never viewed him as a special player, a guy who could be a superstar like the Spurs were high on him. They were acting like this guy was their Kobe Bryant, that he was going to be a special player. I just didn't see that in him. That's why I wasn't even down about the situation. Obviously, I thought what he did was wrong, but usually if the player is a good player and your team loses him, it is kind of like a devastating effect for the team. But he just wasn't a special player. Now, it'll be interesting if some team picks him up. I've heard rumors some teams could pick him up, but I don't know who would, knowing the scandal. Especially, it depends on that press conference, just how bad that goes. I'm not sure if a team would want to sign him and risk having that stigma, especially in this era when it comes to feminism and just all that other stuff, dealing with that, just dealing with SJW Warriors. I'm not so sure anybody would want to put up with that. So it'll be interesting, and I don't really have much to say, but man, if the Spurs have swept us underneath the rug, they're gonna look really terrible. So that's all I have to say. I'm just kind of just waiting to see what happens. That's about it.